Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and to ensure harmony at the opening of my contribution, I will first look at what we all can agree on. We all can agree that Lough Neagh is of huge value to the people of Northern Ireland. We can all agree that as the largest freshwater lake in the British Isles, it is vital for wildlife, fisheries and the wider community in general. On that, we are all agreed. Equally, no one in this chamber can dispute that the blue-green algae issue that was first cited in the Lough in 1923 is a very serious problem and one which we, as legislators, must address. However, as at this juncture, I believe I will part company with the environmentalists, because there are all too many in this House and outside it who are looking for a scapegoat for what is in reality a complex and multifaceted problem. The issue is real, but the narrative to always blame the farmer is not. We hear the mad environmentalists, both inside this chamber and out, lament that the farmer are always to blame. We always hear about the ecological disaster of biblical proportions. We hear about the horror stories that the Lough is dead and that the algae kills all that lives within it, even though this has been a recurring problem for many, many years. But don't forget, Northern Ireland Water, who dump a reported 200,000 tonnes of raw sewage into the Lough each year, tell us that the water is safe to drink, and let's face it, the eel commercial fishing, that has largely been replaced by those now fishing for trout instead. That shows me the Lough isn't dead. This crisis is being used to drive an environmental agenda. Let's look at the facts. Firstly, an overlooked factor is the issue of Russian zebra mussels, an invasive species which since around 2005 has been reshaping the character of Lough Neagh. These filter-feeding invaders have exploded in population over the last 2 decades. They strip out plankton from the water, disrupting the food chain, and by concentrating phosphorus in the sediments, they fuel the algae blooms which we are trying to control due to the sunlight now being able to shine through the cleaner water. Many ask who brought the zebra mussels to Lough Neagh in the first place. Nobody can tell us who. Secondly, we have the elephant in the room, which I've already mentioned, one which when I first came to this House, the Minister was keen to ignore. That's the issues related to sewage, storm overflows and trade effluent. When I first raised this point in the House shortly after my arrival in this place, Minister Muir told me that he did not want to get into the blame game. My question and the Minister's response is on record, and if he wants to dispute that, it's in Hansard for all to see on the 1st of October 2024 in this chamber. The story when I raised it again on the 4th of September was similar. I trust we can all now agree that the discharge of untreated sewage directly into rivers and Lough Neagh, carrying phosphorus, organic matter and bacteria, all of which exacerbate algae growth, needs to stop. Industrial trade effluent adds yet more nutrients to the system. Again, that is an aspect of this whole issue regulated by the Northern Ireland Executive through Northern Ireland Water. Let's not forget that the latest algae blooms correlated with COVID, when we've seen a sharp increase of people using cleaning products in their house. Could that be a factor? Has that been something we've considered? Before we look at the farmer, therefore we need to heed the words of Scripture which say, "Physician, heal thyself." But let's concede for the sake of argument that the parties which want to see agriculture in this province driven to the wall through their NAP and the Climate Action Plan are correct. Let's not forget that it's the same party, the Minister, that has now kept agri-search out of the NAP stakeholder forum. that those people who don't support their mad net zero policies are really approaching this from a different place and dispassionately. Among those parties who supported the Growing for Growth, that is something you need to reflect upon. All them parties were happy to support Growing for Growth when it suited, and now want to turn their back